Episode 68, Cloned Voices and Contract Clauses. Who owns you on air?
The AI6 Podcast with Joanne Sweeney.
Voice cloning is here, and some radio stations are already using it for localised weather and traffic. But what happens when your voice is used without you? We get into the ethics, contracts, and existential dread of AI voice tech in today's episode of the AI6 Podcast. This audio is from the AI panel, which I was part of at the Radio Days Ireland Conference 2025. You also hear from James Cridland of Podnews and Glenn Mulcahy of Titanium Media. And tune in for the next episode, Why Radio Still Has Soul.
That then raises the issue and the fear factor for on-air talent. You know, who owns their voice?
Correct.
If you were to be hit by a bus in the morning and your show still had to go out, could they just get programming and off you go? Are we going to see this becoming a bargaining chip now in contractual negotiations with on-air talent, do you think? And I suppose, is it an ethical line or is it a legal line? Like, I'm trying to figure that out.
I do think it's a little bit of both. And I think also there's lots of work in the unions in terms of actually fixing this into your contract so that you can and can't do certain things. I mean, and let's be clear, it is sometimes very useful that if you can't get your station voice within the next hour, you happen to have a cloned version of your station voice that you can actually use to get you out of that hole. That's still a useful thing, even though you wouldn't use that cloned voice normally. So, you know, again, there aren't necessarily those, it's not necessarily a black and white conversation. It's a conversation with varying degrees of a grey in there to help you know, okay, what is actually right for the person here? What is actually right for the station? Is there something that we can agree? And I know that there are lots of radio companies who have AI as part of their contracts now. But, you know, I mean, I keep on coming back to the fact that when I learned how to edit tape on, you know, using razor blades and China graph pencil and, splicing tape, one of the first things that I was taught is how to change the words of a speech to make it sound as if the speaker was saying something completely different. That was my first, okay, here's your editing job. So we've always been able to clone voices, change voices around, change the meanings around. It's easier with AI. It's not the first time that we've ever been able to do that.
Yeah, I suppose it's because it's so easy and it can fall into the hands of anyone. Like just this week on News Talk, I know Shane Beattie was talking to Malcolm Byrne about legislation that he's putting forward in terms of tackling deepfakes, because they have been a tool to misuse and abuse and all the rest. I suppose for the majority of the people here who are probably looking at how they can enhance the productivity and also the creativity and the happiness of their team with these tools, where do you begin? Is it about using Copilot within Outlook to summarise your emails so you're not having to send a thumbs up all the time? Like, where should someone who's in that position begin?
So everyone in each department in every station should develop a use case. So a use case is, what is a repetitive, menial, boring admin job that potentially AI could do for me, and I have human oversight. So the key is always the human in the loop, and developing those use cases, almost like your innovation labs, right, Glenn? And then being able to explain how you used it, why you used it, the purpose, and then the impact and the output. Sounds kind of very formalized, but it's actually just having a step-by-step kind of guidance. So a use case, and then I think a policy for a station. Why we use AI, how we use it, what tools we use. Do we use paid tools? Because if you use paid tools, you can lock down the models using your information to train themselves. And that's where people are really worried about copyright and proprietary and confidential information. So it's policy and use cases and test and learn. I think radio should be at test and learn, and then look to see where the guidance under the EU AI Act from Commissioner Mann is coming.
The AI6 Podcast with Joanne Sweeney.